The day my mother died, I was swimming in the warm currents of the Atlantic Ocean, Buzzards Bay, Cape Cod, thousands of miles away from where my mother lay dead of ovarian cancer in Groote Schuur Hospital, Cape Town, South Africa. I was 8 months pregnant with my first child. I didn't know my mother was dying. All I knew was that in Boston, where I'd been living for the past 2 years, it was Labor Day weekend. And I was only worried I'd go into labor before my mother got here as planned at the end of October. Strange thing was, the night before, I couldn't fall asleep. I kept tossing and turning, and it wasn't because I was in a strange bed in a rented cottage, feeling like a beached, bloated whale. No. It was something else, something otherworldly. When I finally did fall asleep, sometime early that morning, I had a dream. I was back home in Cape Town, my hometown, walking down Main Road, Sea Point, past an old movie house, the Odeon, where I'd seen my first film, all alone, when I was only 5 years old. It was an English movie, Too Late for Tears, about a little girl who was lying dying in the hospital, and her parents had to say goodbye. And there was this beautiful nurse looking after the child who lay in the hospital crib, and the nurse held the parents' hands in hers, and she said to them, "It's all right to say goodbye." I couldn't sleep. In my dream, 3 women come towards me when I'm walking down the road. They're dressed in long black robes, like figures from an ancient Greek tragedy. They beckon me to follow them. I go with them across the road to a building, up the stairs to an empty room with stark white walls. The women keep staring at me. They want something from me. They want my baby. No, you can't take my baby. And then I woke up. I couldn't fall asleep after that. I just lay in my bed until morning came. And that morning, Saturday, September 1st, I felt unusually calm and relaxed. I went down to the beach. It was low tide. I had to walk far into the bay until the water came up to my waist, and then further until it came up to my neck. I felt the warm water around me. I stretched out my arms and let myself float, me and my enormous belly, like some giant transparent jellyfish, at one with the water, drifting. It was on the Tuesday that we got back from the long weekend. That was when I got the phone call. It was my youngest sister calling long distance from Cape Town. She's asking me where we've been, what we've been doing. We've been trying to get hold of you. And I tell her, well, over here, it's a long weekend. We went down to the beach to a place called Cape Cod. They call it Labor Day weekend, but don't worry, I did not go into labor because this baby is obviously waiting for her granny to come and see her being born. And by the way, where's Ma? I want to speak to her. And that's when my sister asked me if I was sitting. Sitting? Are you kidding? You should see how enormous I am. I just ran all the way from outside to get the phone. Of course I'm sitting. Why? I am sorry. I don't know how to tell you this, but Mom's dead. Mom's dead? Just like that? You go away for a long weekend, you come back, your mother's dead? They told me later that I screamed on the phone. I don't remember screaming. I remember sitting on my bed, and everything went quiet. Silence. I didn't even know my mother was sick, let alone dying. All I knew that my mother was appearing as Golda, starring as Golda in the State Theatre production of Fiddler on the Roof. Golda! You couldn't imagine a more perfect Golda. My mother was the ultimate, the quintessential Yiddish mama. She didn't even have to speak to play Golda. She had all the Jews of Eastern Europe in one little look of hers, one shrug, one sigh. So who knew she was dying when 7 shows a week she's up on stage, singing and dancing to life, l'chaim, 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 to life, hi, hi. Not even her actors, her fellow actors knew she was dying. Not even her audience knew she was dying. And when the doctors finally took her just 2 weeks after the show ended to the hospital and they told her that the end was near, she told my father and my sister specifically not to tell me. Don't tell Naava. Why? Because I was 8 months pregnant and God forbid something could happen to the baby? Poo, poo, poo. Go figure. Maybe it was because she was from Poland and grew up in a world full of strange superstitions, where you had to spit 3 times against the evil eye, poo, 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 in case something bad should happen, God forbid, poo, poo, poo. And a lot of bad things did happen. You shouldn't know from such things, poo, poo, poo. I was 10 years old. My little sister was just a little baby. She was lying on the rug on the carpet, and I was up on the sofa, and I was jumping over her. And my mother, she scuttily comes running in from the other side of the room, and she says, Naava, go back, go over her, cross over her, she won't grow. I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean she won't grow? You cross over a person, they don't grow? So now it's my fault? My sister's short? The first time I got my period, I was downtown with my mother. We were visiting my dad at his office. I went to the bathroom. I came back upstairs. I whispered to my mother. I said, Mommy, I don't know what's happening, but I'm bleeding down there. She gave me a look. She lifted her hand. She gave me a frasgiben ponium, a slap over the face. She says, Mazel tov, now you're a woman. And my father, he gets up from behind his desk. He comes over to me, hits me across the face and says, Mazel tov, my baby's a woman, Mazel tov. And the two of them are sitting and dancing and up and down and shouting, Mazel tov, she's a woman. And I'm thinking to myself, what happened over here? I just got hit across the face by my parents. Is this what you call a big celebration? Then again, I should have expected silence. Bad things were always kept a secret, especially in our house. No mention about the past. What did they think? They could keep the pain of 6 million souls a secret from the world, from me, their firstborn? I could feel it as a child. Shadows lurking in the dark, ghosts breathing in the night. The past like a dreaded disease, to be shunned, to be shut up, skull and crossbones on a barbed wire fence. They couldn't hide it from me. I sucked it in with my mother's milk. I breathed it in from the air, still singed from my father's burnt out rage. Everything there was to know, only don't ask. One day I did ask. I was in high school. I came back home, found my mother at her usual place, there at her dressing table, sitting next to the bedroom window. She was playing solitaire, her favorite game, turning the cards over one by one, until everything worked out. Always had to have a happy ending. Mom, What happened over there? How come you never talk about it? She stopped playing for a moment, looked up at me, then went back to the cards. When you're older, Naava, I'll tell you when you're older. Well, Ma, I'm older. And where are you? Who would have thought the great Chayela Rosenthal is now the Wunderkind of the Vilna Ghetto? Now she's sitting here playing cards, the bridge champion of Sea Point, Cape Town. Yeah, it's true. I just came back from the bridge club where I play with the afternoons in the ladies and the men. The men are sometimes more ladies than the ladies. You know what I mean. But I like to come home. I sit here. I have a cup of tea with a little prunes to make sweet. I sit by my bedroom window. It's lovely. It's the best spot in the whole house. I love it here. I sit here by my bedroom window next to my dressing table. I look out the window. I can see the ocean. The ships, the big ships are passing by. The neighbors' palm trees are swaying in the wind. Yeah, it's lovely. The sun is shining in through the blinds. Always sunny here. Every afternoon I get the sun. It's a machaya. I love it here. After all I've been through, I deserve a little paradise, no? No, so I come back from the bridge club. I'm very happy. I like to come back and I like to sit here by my dressing table. I made it specially with glass. Glass on top. Under the glass I have pictures, photographs. I like to look at all the photographs. Look, here I am. This is me in Israel. I was so many times in Israel performing. To me it's like a home. I was there right in the beginning, in Tel Aviv. Right in the beginning, I was staying in a hotel. I arrive in this hotel. I wash my hands. I look around for a towel. No towels. At least I see a phone. I'm going to call the manager. Hello, manager. I just arrived in your hotel. I washed my hands. No towels. What's the matter? Sablanut, Geveret. Patience, he says to me. This is a new country. It's a new hotel. The towels will be arriving in 2 hours. In the meantime, take a step out onto the balcony. Put your hands out in front of you. It's so hot. They'll dry in 2 minutes. Was I happy I didn't take a bath? And then another time, a lady comes up to me. She comes up to me. I'm standing in Dizengoff at the bus stop. She says, Chayela. She grabs me. Chayela Rosenthal, it's you. I recognize you. I saw you yesterday afternoon in the matinee performance. And I'm an actress. I'm so happy. People are recognizing me in the streets. I say, so tell me, how did you like it? She says, oh, please. I couldn't sleep the whole night. I said, Taka, you such a good impression I made on you in the afternoon. You couldn't sleep the whole night. She says, what are you talking? When I have a good sleep in the afternoon, I can't sleep a wink the whole night. That's Israel for you. And look here, this is me. This is another photograph. Here I am standing, my name up in lights, Chayela Rosenthal. I'm in New York, in front of the Billy Rose Theater. Who would think Yiddish would make it to Broadway? That was my brother Leyb. Yeah. Look, this one here. Take a look here. This is my little daughter Naava, my firstborn. Look how cute she is. She's so small. She's standing holding a ball, but she doesn't want to smile. She was a cesarean. They had to cut me open to pull her out. I remember the day she was born. My husband Izzy already fainted onto the floor. I had to call a neighbor, Solly, to get me to the hospital. They take me to a hospital, a Catholic hospital, Booth Memorial. I look around. All the nurses are walking around dressed like penguins. They put me in a room. Jesus is hanging on a cross on top of the wall, on top of my head. And I'm thinking to myself, what do nuns know about giving birth? And then they bring me this tiny little baby to hold into my arms. And the first thing I do, I count the fingers and the toes. Everything should be all right. Two. And then I began to cry. And this nurse, she says to me, why are you crying? You have a healthy, happy little baby girl. Why are you crying? And what was I going to say to her? I'm crying because there is no one from my family to share in my joy. Look here. This is me in Paris, already after the war. Woo, look how thin I was. I was appearing in a cabaret in Place Pigalle. The famous people that were there, Danny Kaye, Dave Cash, Art Buchwald. It was in Paris that a woman named Sarah Sylvia found me. She was already an old lady, an Alchichke, Bobichke, with a big bun at the back of her head, but a young face full of Summersprinkler, freckles all over, and a big smile, a nice smile. Sarah was looking for Yiddish actors to take back with her to Africa to play Jewish theater. Jews in Africa? I thought Africa was a jungle. No, said Sarah. It is a beautiful country, always sunny. No trouble for the Jews. Everywhere you look, plenty gardens full with flowers. Lots of people from the old country. They speak Yiddish. They'll love you. Reminded me the time I was appearing in the DP camps, performing for the refugee camps. I give my concert. At the end of the concert, I look, I see boys coming from the back of the audience, their arms full with branches, with little blossoms to give to me. Imagine, they went outside to take from the trees the branches. I should have flowers. From nothing, they made something. Already in Paris, I had a contract to sign with a big name in America, a contract for 5 years. Imagine 5 years for my life. I never liked complicated contracts. I liked Sarah. She had a nice smile. I came with Sarah in a big boat across the Atlantic Ocean. And I found me a ganz new life. At last, a bissel of paradise. No, so I'm telling you, I came back from the bridge club where I'm playing always in the afternoons. I come back, I come here, I sit at my dressing table. Oh, I won another tournament. Yeah, I'm the bridge champion. And now I'm feeling in a good mood. I'm very happy. I'm playing patience. I like to play patience every afternoon. Don't tell anybody. But if the cards don't fall so I cheat a little. No, anyhow, I'm playing patience, turning the cards over. I like things should work out. In the room comes my daughter Naava. She asks me out of the blue, completely out of the blue, what happened over there? Funny. I'm in the middle of looking for a black king to put my red queen on top of it, and she asks me such a question. Look at this. Here I am, the bridge champion of Sea Point, Cape Town. I can tell you who played what to whom after each game. But so help me God, when it comes time to telling my own daughter about my past, I don't have the words. How could I utter such things, too ugly to believe? The dreaded sights they made us witness, the nights that never leave. How to explain the never-ending train of memories of loved ones that they took away? Must I relive the cries, the silence and the fear? Why tell the story that no one wants to hear? How to recount the drops of precious blood they spilled, the dead without a grave, the hole that's never filled? How to explain the never-ending pain of sounds that stain your ears forever, ears they took away? No words could say. Must I relive the cries, the silence, and the tears, and tell the story a daughter now must hear? When we came back from that long weekend on the Tuesday, my mother was already dead and buried. Not even a chance to say goodbye. 1 month later, I gave birth to my first child, a healthy baby girl, whom I named after my mother, just as I had been named after my mother's father and my father's mother. In memoriam, always in memoriam. It was 1 year later that I went back to South Africa for the unveiling of my mother's tombstone. Strange to go back after being away so many years and not to have my mother there in the home where I'd left all of my memories. Everything was the same. Yet everything was different. Sun still shone through the windows. The dressing table was still there, with the photographs under the glass. Her clothes were still hanging in the wardrobe. Her pills were still lined up in the medicine cabinet. My father hadn't touched a thing. He had saved everything for me to come and decide what to keep and what to give away. And it was the day before I had to return to Boston that I finally ventured down into the cellar. The cellar was where we stored everything, and I mean everything. Alte Sachen von Amolike Joren. Big garbage bags full of my mother's old clothes, my old clothes, my sister's old clothes. My father still wears his old clothes. Cardboard boxes filled with second-hand children's books that my father used to buy for me at the city hall, at the flea market. Fancy cigar boxes with his secret stash of rubber bands, ballpoint pens, and pencil stubs. Shoe boxes, stacks of shoe boxes filled with postcards and brown envelopes stuffed with hundreds of tiny little postage stamps that my father used to collect and sort and put into bundles. Piles of magazines and newspapers in Russian, Polish, Yiddish, French, English, and Afrikaans. Chipped vases, broken beach chairs, suitcases of every size, hat boxes of every color, all of this and more stored and hoarded down into the cellar, because in our family you never threw away anything. Let me tell you about the cellar. The cellar was a scary place. It was actually more of a grotto, because it was carved out of a huge boulder that the house was built upon. It was always dark and dank and musty smelling. And you could only get into the cellar from the outside of the house. And once you opened the tiny door, you had to take a step down and keep your body bent low in case, God forbid, you bumped your head. And it was pitch dark inside, and you had to keep your hands stretched out in front of you until you found the light switch way on the other side of the door. And then I was always scared as a young child that there were skeletons lying on the wooden shelves, waiting in the dark, just ready to grab my hand and never let go. But this time, it was different. I wasn't scared anymore. I found the light switch in 2 seconds, stood up, looked all around, saw the cardboard boxes with the yellowed papers, the suitcases, the big garbage bags. Standing in the coolness of this cave, I wanted to take some of this back with me. I needed to hold on to something of my mother's, something physical. You can cut the umbilical cord at birth, but at death, the body remembers being connected. I took a few boxes, some garbage bags, a few suitcases. Who even knew what was in there? All I knew was that I had to take it back to America, back home with me, to store down in my basement, like some buried treasure, just as my mother had done before me. Many years go by. By now I have 3 children, my small contribution to the 6 million. And my youngest daughter comes running up to me. She says, Mommy, Mommy, you have to help me. I have a project due tomorrow at school on immigration. I have to be an immigrant coming to Ellis Island, and I need a costume for tomorrow, Mommy. Of course, I think to myself, why do you always leave everything to the last minute? How am I going to make a costume? And then I remember my mother's stuff down in the basement. I had brought it all back with me, forgot about it, stored it down in the basement, never even looked at it. After all, I was making a new life for myself, in a new country, a new mother. I go down to the basement. That's when I find the suitcase. I smell the familiar musty cellar smell. Flashback. I'm 3 years old. The house is dark. I'm looking for my mother. I can't find her, and I'm calling out to her. I'm calling out, Mommy, 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 but she's not answering me, and I look in all the rooms, and I can't find her. Then I open this door, and I find her there. She's sitting in the dark on the floor, the suitcase open in front of her, photographs spread all around her. I'm so happy to see her. I run up to her, Mommy, 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 but she pushes me away, slaps my hand, and says, No, don't touch. I open the suitcase. I find all of these things. Scrapbooks, newspaper clippings, old programs, old music sheets, all of these things. Look at all of these papers. And then I find this book. It's handwritten Yiddish. It looks like my mother's handwriting. I make out at the top, I make out a name in Hebrew letters, Leyb Rosenthal, my mother's brother. It's a list. It's a list of songs, carefully numbered. Down here is the date, 1948. My mother must have written this after the war. It's her handwriting. It's a list of all of her brother's songs that he wrote in the ghetto. Mir leben ewig, Pesche von Resche, Ich will aheim, Sorinke wenig narrele. This is my uncle right here. The one I never knew. The one she never spoke about. The one whose face peered out at me from a tiny little gray photograph no bigger than a postage stamp that she kept under the glass of her dressing table. Once a long time ago, I asked her, "Who is that man?" She gave me a faraway look and said, "That was my brother Leyb. He was a poet. The Nazis killed him one day before liberation. And then nothing more." Now, after all these years, I find my uncle here in my basement, in this book, in his songs, in his words. Wenn Mensch bist jung, ist groß dein Schwung, dann juckst du sich noch Glück, verlost, vergesst dein Heim, dein Nest, die Zeit kommt nicht zurück. When you are young, your hopes are high, filled with desire you burn. You leave the nest and learn to fly, only to find you can't return. Suddenly old age is near, memories start to appear. You think of times gone by, and wonder, where was I back then? I long to see my home again, just as it used to be back then. The wooden gate, the crooked tree, the roof on which I scraped my knee, my poor old home. Four walls, a table, and a chair. I left my childhood over there. I dreamed in comfort as a boy of carefree days so full of joy. I miss my home. I long to see my home again, just as it used to be back then. The pictures hanging on the wall, the rug I tripped on in the hall, my poor old home. Four walls, a table, and a chair. I left my childhood over there. And now there's nothing left to hold. I'm in the darkness, in the cold. Ich denk That was my brother's song. He wrote it in the ghetto. Everybody would cry when I sang that song. People told me even the German soldiers at the back of the theater would cry when I sang it. Me, what do I remember about home? The last picture I have in my head is when I came back home from high school, from Epstein Gymnasium. I came home. I found my mother in the kitchen, sitting like a stone. Usually in the kitchen, my mother is busy, always a tumult, the pots and pans flying, but today she just sits. In the corner of my eye, I see a chicken. A chicken is running around in circles without a head. And I say to my mama, Mama, was ist geschehen? What happened? And she says to me, they came. The police, they came to take Papa. One small suitcase he was to pack and then gone. Not even a chance to say goodbye. And then Leyb, my brother Leyb, he comes running in. He heard the news. And the mama says, quickly, Leyb, you must run, you must hide. They're going to take you, they're going to take you. And Leyb says, why me? I'm a poet, I'm a writer. What good am I to them? And mama says, no, you're a man. They're taking all the men. I'm afraid for you. And I say, well, maybe he should be a girl. If he's dressed like a girl, maybe they won't take him. And mama says, gesunden dein Käppel. She kisses me on the head. And she runs quickly. She runs to get some clothes. She should dress Leyb. He should look like a girl. And Leyb, he jumps over the balcony and runs to hide in Uncle Avram's house. And the next time we see him, he's outside the prison gates with Uncle Avram. He's waiting to take us out from the prison, to take us to the ghetto, our new home. Our new home in the ghetto? What is this? Some kind of a joke? 5, 6, sometimes 7 families all squeezed together in the same small little stunk in a room. In the ghetto, we used to make a joke. There's the optimist and the pessimist. The pessimist, he says, "Hey, it's so terrible, it's gefährlich, it's schrecklich, it's horrible, I can't stand it anymore." And the optimist, he says, "Hey, it's so terrible, it's so bad, it's gefährlich, it's schrecklich, it's horrible. But how could it get any worse?" Me, I was lucky. By the time I got into the ghetto, there were rumors flying about a ghetto theater that Gens was organizing for the population. Rumors, big arguments, people walking, shouting, screaming in the streets, smearing posters on the wall. Auf den Beissäulen spielt man nicht kein Theater. On a cemetery you don't play theater. You should have heard what my brother Leyb had to say. Those mumsers, those idiots, don't listen to them. Don't you know? It's when you don't have theater, that's when you die. In my eyes, Leyb was always right. To me, Theater was my life. Oh, already, here from a little girl, a pizza little girl, I'm running around the house, singing and dancing all around the house. Yeah, I'm making funny faces, putting funny voices. And Leyb, my brother Leyb, Lolek, we used to call him Lolek, he was my biggest fan, my biggest audience, my biggest director, my best everything. Leyb, Lolek, he was with the Young Vilna Literary Society. Yeah, he was with the group Maidim, organizing shows all over, puppet shows, Marionettenspieler, and me, he let me do the voices for the puppets. He knew how much I loved theater. And he was right. Maestro, please. I love theater. It's in my soul. There's nothing greater than playing a role. I'll make you laugh and cry with every look, with every sigh. I love theater. It is my life. Just give me any part, I'll make it mine. As long as I'm the star and I can shine. I love theater. It has romance. What can be greater than song and dance? My troubles all fade away when the musician starts to play. I love theater, it is my life. When the director shouts out, places please, my heart starts races, trading places with my knees. And then the light goes on. I am back where I belong. I love theater, it is my life. Let me tell you about the feeling and excitement of just feeling when the curtain starts to rise. From the surprise, your head is reeling. From the lines you are repeating as your heart is fast beating. Will you make it through the night or blunder? Stepping to the light, you wonder. Then, like a bride, you enter. Enter! Down you stride to the center, where your audience awaits you in the darkness which creates you. First there's silence, then applause. Then bravos, then encores, then you know they're really yours, they're really yours. I love theater. It's all pretend. You take reality and make it bend. Oy vey, you live at home, your dull routine. For up on stage, you are the queen. I love theater. It is my life. Yeah. Such songs my brother would write for me. Even before the war, Leyb was already a well-known songwriter. He had a big hit on the radio. Words to him came like manna from the sky. Songs of hope, love, courage, nostalgia. My brother, he could, with a couple of words and a rhyme, he could make you laugh and cry in the same moment. When I was just 16, Leyb wrote for me a special song for the Vilna Folk Song Festival competition. I won the competition. From all the singers, they chose me, little Chayela Rosenthal, to represent Vilna at the Moscow Cultural Festival. Imagine going to Moscow the first time I'm away from home. Lolek was going to come with me as my apotropos. Mama already sewed me a beautiful costume with white puffy sleeves, a little red apron, ribbons, flowers, beautiful. But that exact same day, we were to leave for Moscow. The Germans came to Vilna. My muzzle. I never saw Moscow. It wasn't Bashert. Instead, what was meant to be was me in the ghetto, singing my brother's songs, the Yiddish songs, And when it came the opening performance, 18th January 1942 of the special ghetto concert, the opening of the theater, I didn't come out singing in a pretty white dress with a little red apron, sleeves, flowers in my hair. No, my big debut. I am singing a song that my brother wrote about a little Jewish boy in the ghetto, an orphan, Nebuch. To stay alive, he has to become a street peddler, a ganef. Yisraelik, dressed in zerrissene Hosen, an alter, verschmatterdicke, schmutzerdicke Mantel. Ay, the poor little Yisraelik always hiding in the sewers, underground, under the table, in your pockets. Don't worry if you couldn't find him. Yisraelik, he would find you. No. What are you looking at? You laughing at me. I'm a kid, I'm small. Pshakre, who can remain a kid in ghetto? Small. Small is good for business. I can get away with a lot of things. I know just which strings to pull. Get it? If not, I get it for you. Anything you want, just ask for me. Yisraelik, I can get it for you. Ask for me. For a small price, of course. Nu kaufche Papyrussen, nu kaufche Sacharin. Geworden ist ein scheurer billig wert. A Leben für a Groschen, a Brute hat Verdienst. Von Ghetto-Händler hat doch gehört. Ich heiß Yisraelik, ich bin das Kind von Ghetto. Heiß Yisraelik, a heftige dicke Jug. Once I had parents, now they're gone forever. I'm broke, but still I tell a joke and sing a song. Yum pum 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 pum. My name's Yisraelik, I'm the kid from Ghetto. My name's Yisraelik, I'm tough and I am brave. But when no one's looking, when no one's near, I hide in the corner and wipe away a tear. That's good. My name's Yisraelik, I'm the kid from Ghetto. My name's Yisraelik, I have a little song. Why remember heartache, why talk about your sorrow? So much better to think about tomorrow. Ya ba 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 bum, ya la 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 la, ya ba ba ba. Just think about tomorrow. All of these things from my mother's past, all of these papers. She kept everything. More papers. Press release from Charles Malamuth, Director, European PR, Joint Distribution Committee, Wrocław, Poland, 1948. To whom it may concern, no matter how dramatic the roles actress Chayela Rosenthal is called on to play, it is doubtful that any author's imagination will be able to outstrip the scenes which this young star of the Lower Silesia Jewish Theatre has played in real life. For she lived in the Vilna Ghetto and in concentration camps, and she can recall only too well that cold morning when she and thousands of other Jewish women were lined up in narrow columns by German soldiers on a beach on the Baltic Sea. The women were weary, haggard, worn, showing the effects of concentration camp life. The soldiers were irritable, obviously nervous, hurrying about and every once in a while looking anxiously to the east. The women had not long to wait. "March them into the sea," ordered the German commander. Some tried to break through the lines of the soldiers. They were shot down, slowlessly, relentlessly. Using bayonet and rifle butt, the soldiers drove the women into the water. Soon those in the front lines were up to their waists, up to their necks in water, but they could not turn back. The back lines, pressed forward by the soldiers, pushed them further out to sea. Hundreds were drowned, fighting, clawing, screaming. Death seemed sure for the others also when in the east a Red Army tank appeared. The German lines broke and the soldiers ran. The remaining women were saved. Chayela among them. My own mother. I never knew. I was a child. I didn't know. I saw what I could see. Nothing to show when all you know is what you're meant to see. I was too young for anyone but me. Now I am older, I see much more. I see what I could never see before. I was a child. I was unkind. I never thought of them. I spoke my mind and tried to find all that was wrong with them. I wasn't there for anyone but me. Now I am older, I know much more. I understand what I could not before. Growing up, I had this awful shame, thought my parents were the ones to blame. I was so embarrassed when they called my name out loud across the street. So I ignored them, kept my head down, kept on walking, wished that they would stop their talking. Broken English, whispers in a foreign tongue. I was so Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry for everything. I have a child. She needs to know what I did not know then. Something to show before I go. The past is present then. There is someone who's going to follow after me. Now I am older, I hear much more. I hear the words I never heard. What is to say? I survived. I was lucky. That's it. Maybe Mama was pulling a few strings. When it came the end of the ghetto, everything was a big chaos. We couldn't find Leyb anywhere. They pushed us to a place for selection. I'm holding tight Mama's hand. The German soldiers everywhere with the guns, the dogs barking, and the SS man is standing there. He's pointing to the left, to the right. He's shouting, screaming, and he points to Mama. He points to the left, and Mama, now she's shouting at me, and she says, Chayela, leave me, go quickly, go to the right, leave me. And I'm holding so tight Mama's hand. I can't let go, but she gives me a push. She pushed me to the right, the side of life. I was young. I was pretty. I was bald. My beautiful, thick black hair. They cut it all off. I remember Mama and we used to sit on my bed at home, and she used to brush my hair and sing me a lullaby. A kleine Mädele klappt in Tier, tuk, tuk, tuk. Liebe Mama, öffn mir, tuk, tuk, tuk. A ganzen Tag gewen vernommen, tra-la-la-la. Spät bin ich heimgekommen, tra-la-la-la. I used to sing that same song for my daughter Naava when she was a little girl. Funny, now that I stopped to think about it, it was a completely strange, a modern song to sing for a lullaby. It's about a little girl who's coming home late at night. She's knocking on the door, tuk, 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 and she's calling for her mother to let her in. She's been busy the whole day long. Now she's coming home and she's calling, Mama, Mama, let me in, let me in. It's got nothing to do with falling asleep. A ganzen Tag gewen vernommen, tra-la-la-la. Spät bin ich. When they shaved our hair, it was terrible. All the girls, all the women screaming around me. I couldn't stand it. I'm an actress. I had to do something. I pretended to be a boy. Yeah, Yisraelik. I told him a few jokes. I said, don't worry, you stop crying. You look nice now. I didn't like you before. You were a brunette. I didn't like that. Don't worry, don't cry. And you, from where did you grow such big ears? And soon all the girls are laughing. At least the laughter is better than the crying, right? A bitter gelächter, a bitter laugh. But if it's one thing we Jews know how to do, it's how to make a joke, how to make a song even out of our misery. And all the time in the camps, I'm remembering my brother's songs. I'm making special concerts for the girls at night, singing to them. And the girls, they save me pieces of bread. Yeah, they even steal pieces of bread to save for me. I should sing. I should have strength to sing to them at night. Yeah. Leyb was right. I remember heartache. Why talk about your sorrow? Better don't talk. I sang. I survived. That's it. When I opened that suitcase for the first time, all the ghosts that had been shut up inside for all those years were released into the atmosphere, went flying about into the air. I could feel their presence before. Now, I could feel them even more. The grandparents I never had. The uncle I never knew. The mother I longed to know. They began nudging me, tapping me on the shoulder with the finger, whispering to me, Naava, Naava, remember our songs, Naava, Naava, remember my songs, tell my jokes, Naava, Naava, remember us, Never forget, Naava. We were here. We were here. And still to this day, they're pestering me. They're sending me strangers with little clues to keep reminding me to tell their stories. Breuer, a musicologist from the Holocaust Museum in Washington, he sent me the published lyrics and melodies of my uncle's songs from various books, from one recently published in Germany, Songs from the Ghetto. And then another person, Saul Beinfeld, a history professor from Washington University in St. Louis, now on sabbatical in Boston. He went last year to Vilna, to do research into the cultural life of the Vilna Ghetto. And there, in the archives in Vilna, he found an original poster advertising the musical review Pesha von Resha, starring in big, bold red letters, Chayela Rosenthal, and in blue letters, text and music by Leyb Rosenthal, with the date 15th of June 1943 on top. He sent me the color photo of that original poster. And then I met somebody who knew somebody else whose mother was from Vilna, who's now living in Florida, who's coming up to visit her daughter for the high holidays, who lives in Newton. Her daughter lives in Newton, the same town I live in. I met her, Adela Jockelson. Chayela Rosenthal was your mother? I knew Chayela in high school, in Epstein Gymnasium. Your mother was so sweet, so pretty, so small, but so bright. Big brown eyes, beautiful thick black hair. Funny, you don't look anything like her. I asked Mrs. Jockelson if she knew my uncle, Leyb. She told me that she met him in Klogga, the labor camp that she was in right at the end of the war. It was from Mrs. Jockelson that I heard the story, how he was killed, how the day before the Red Army came to liberate the camp, the Germans, fearing that their end was near, gathered all of the prisoners into the large bare field in between the men's barracks and the women's barracks, surrounded them in a circle by soldiers with guns aimed at them. How she thought perhaps they were being transported to another camp, because at first the most able, the strongest men were taken away, then more men and more. Only when she heard the shots from nearby did she understand. This was the end for us. I heard from Mrs. Jockelson what she did. She took a chance. She and her sister made a brave dash for a nearby barracks in which to hide. She was lucky. My uncle? The SS had taken him when they took the first group of men, marched them to a nearby forest, and ordered them to build a platform of wood. Then they took the next group of men and forced them to lie down on top of that wood. And then more wood, more men, more wood, more men, more wood, more men, until the last group were piled on top of that wood, and then the German soldiers shot them and burned them all. That is what happened to them, to my Uncle Leyb, the poet, the playwright, the writer of songs, the one who wrote the words, "Wir leben ewig, wir seien da." We live forever. We are here. Here I am, 1948, still here, still in Poland, in a little town called Jelenia Góra. After the war, I'm already performing with the Jewish State Theater, traveling all over, performing in the DP camps, the refugee camps. Great directors and actors have come out of Russia to work with us. Look at this, my muzzle, my acting career. I'm beginning at the end of Yiddish theater.
But I'm happy. I'm acting. Not only acting, we're doing everything we're doing in those days. We're sewing the curtains, we're sewing the costumes, we're painting the scenery, we're taking the tickets, we're selling the tickets, we're running backstage to put on makeup, we're running on stage to say the lines, we're opening the curtains, closing the curtains, everything. All the great plays we're doing in Yiddish, yeah. Shalom Aleichem, Gordon, Pinsker, Chekhov, Molière. What, you didn't know Molière was Jewish? No, we did, of course. He wrote the great play, Der Schnorrer. Only kidding. My favorite part was the young girl Zina, the farm girl, in the Grinnefilde, the play Grinnefilde, Green Fields. I play Zina, the lead, the young farm girl who is flirting with the yeshiva scholar, the scholar who cannot even put his eyes on her. He's so shy. I'm feeling pretty again. My hair is growing long again. I can wear it in two braids, two plaitsim for the roll. Mama used to say, Schein darf man sein, Mazel darf man haben. You got to be pretty, nah, you got to be lucky. And I was lucky. My luck, my muzzle. Who should be touring the DP camps at exactly the same time that I'm playing the farm girl, the lead, in Grinnefelde, but Molly Pickon, the star of the great American Yiddish stage. Yeah, she's touring Europe with her husband, Jacob Kalish, and she happens to see me playing the same role that she made famous in the movie. She came backstage, specially to see me. She said to me, Chayela, Chayela, you remind me of me, but one thing, you must get out of Poland. It is a cemetery for the Jews. And I said, yes, I want to, but I don't know how to do it. It's so difficult to get out right now. And she said, I will see what I can do. I have a friend in America, perhaps they can help. I go back home, I tell my husband Izzy about Molly Pickon. My husband Izzy. I met Izzy immediately after the war, after we were liberated, in a little town called Lauenburg. Izzy heard that some Vilna girls were there in the same town. He came specially to find us, to protect us from the Meshuggah Red Army soldiers. He heard about me. He remembered me from Vilna, from the folk song festival. He wrote an article about me in the newspaper back then. Immediately after I met him, I got very sick with typhus. Izzy saved my life. Hebach, he had nobody. We became like family. No, so I'm telling you, here we are in Yelena Gora. Izzy, my husband, is working with the newspaper. He has a job here. I am traveling all over the country, performing the DP camps. One day, a telegram arrives from Sol Hurok, the big American impresario. He's the friend of Molly Pickon. He is now in Warsaw. He sent me a telegram to tell me he wants me to come to Warsaw for an audition the next day, tomorrow. Oh, Mama, what to wear, what to sing, how to get there. It's hundreds of miles away. But Izzy, God bless him, God to Duncan, he knows somebody who used to be nobody, now is a big somebody high up. He arranges for us an army transport plane. An airplane, the first time in an airplane, an army transport plane to go to Warsaw the next day. Imagine, two Yidlach, two Jews, sitting in the back of the plane, in between boxes of ammunition, flying over Poland. It's a joke. Then we get to Warsaw. We meet the big Mr. Hurok. He puts us in a fancy hotel, the only hotel still standing in Warsaw. Everything else is in ruins. But this hotel, such chandeliers, such fancy furniture, such beautiful chairs. Reminds me the story of Manya Mankiewicz, the queen of Kvetches. Manya is touring France, doing a walking tour of the castles. She's walking. She gets tired. She sits down on one of the chairs. The guide, he gets so fatutzt. He comes running up to her. Madame, get up. You cannot sit in that chair. Get up. That chair belongs to Louis XIV. But Manya, she doesn't budge an eyelash. She sits. She says, what's the big hullabaloo? What's the big problem? When Louis comes back, I'll give him his chair. So here we are. We're in this beautiful hotel. Mr. Hura gives us a beautiful dinner, and then he takes us to a beautiful opera afterwards, Madame Butterfly. And the next day is my audition. They take me to a big cathedral, half in ruins. This is where I must sing. I give my music to the old man playing the organ, and I step into the middle of this cathedral, and I sing my Yiddish songs, my brother's songs, and the big Mr. Hirak in the fedora hat, he takes out a hanky and he wipes his eyes. That was my audition. Would you believe, a couple of months later, another telegram arrives from Mr. Hirak. Have arranged concert for Chayela Rosenthal. Stop. In Paris, France. Stop. With agent Mr. Leonidov. Stop. Ticket and visa to follow. Don't stop. I am so excited. And my husband Izzy, he says to me, no, Chayela, you see, you should be happy. You got what you wanted. Now we're leaving Poland for good. And I say, for good, for better. Izzy tells me we must pack one suitcase each. We should pretend to be on vacation. The Soviets shouldn't think we are leaving the country for good. We have to decide what to pack, what to take with us. Look at this. Give a look, huh? The story of Jews. When things are not so aye, what do? We pack. Pack sich ein, wer kennt nicht dem Refrain? Sis an altbekannte Liedl, was man singt da jeden Liedl. Pack sich ein. And then when we finish packing the suitcases, I say to Izzy, one more thing, sit. This is something that my mother made us do every time we left the house. First you sit down, then you say mit a mazel dike show, may luck be with us. And then you step out onto the right foot, always on the right foot. And once you start walking, you never go back. No matter what you leave behind, you never go back. We packed a little suitcase with all that we possess. Some papers, photographs, porcelain dolls, my yellow dress. We packed it full of things we thought we owned to remind us. All those precious things we thought we had to leave behind us. Oy. It's getting heavy. How can one little suitcase be so heavy? But at least it feels good to have something to hold on to. Suitcase in hand, everyone has got one little suitcase in hand, packed tight with secrets from a distant foreign land that once was home. Suitcase in hand, one little suitcase in my hand, fragments from the past no one will ever understand. No words could say who could have planned that once was home, that once was me. So begins the journey. I'll throw away the key.
All those sighs, all those silences. I think I finally understand why you had to lock it away, put it in a suitcase, store it down into a basement. After all, you're in a new country, living a new life, learning a new language, living amongst strangers, starting a whole new life, a new mother with a cesarean. I was born from a scar. No, that's not right. I was born from a star. You were a star. You came back from the dead. Me? I can't be like you, spitting over my shoulder, stepping out on the right foot, locking doors, closing suitcases. I don't want the past to be buried. I want it to come alive. This book that I found only after you were gone, this book is mine now. Mine to keep, mine to treasure, mine to share. Each bittersweet song that I hear for the first time, each twinge of pain that you tried to protect me from, they're all mine. Mine now. Mine to pass on to the child that I named after you, in memory of all of those that you loved and lost, who had no chance to say goodbye, who have no burial ground, no resting place other than those of us who remain behind to remind others that you were here. All of you. You were here.
What are you talking, nourished maidel? What is she talking? Where? I'm still here. What do you think, it's so easy to get rid of us Jews? No. And not us Jewish mothers. We like to have the last word. Besides, on stage, I, Chayela Rosenthal, was never dead. I decided I want an encore. Oi, reminds me Manya Menkovich, the queen of kvetches. My mother. My luck, I'm touring America, giving a concert in Atlantic City. Who should be sitting right punked in front of me in the front row? Oi, with that face of hers looking up at me. Manya Menkovich, the queen of kvetches. Ich habe verpackt. I come on the stage, I sing my song, I do the finale. Big applause, I sing my encore. More applause, so I sing it again. More applause. This time Manya's standing. Manya, the queen of kvetches, she's standing. She's shouting, encore, encore. And I'm thinking to myself, please, it's it's enough already. And I say to the audience, thank you very much, but I really must end the show. Thank you. And Manya, she's standing, she's shouting out, no. You'll stand up there and you'll sing it again and again until you get it right. So here I am. I'm still up here. I'm singing my brother's songs. It's me. I'm singing my mother's songs.
Mein Name ist Chayela Rosenthal. Ich lade heim zu verbringen mit mir, zu freuen sich mit dem, was wir haben, und zu dermonen sich das, was es ist gewesen. Und wer kann besser dermonen, was es ist gewesen, wie die alteste jüdische Mama, welche sagt, Bonjour, als euch wir kennen verstehen. Als ich weiß nicht, als Ruhm ist mir auch so. Jeder sagt, du verstehst nicht, was verstehen.
Mom, you listening? Leyb? Uncle Leyb? This one's for you. Wir leben ewig, es brennt a Welt. Wir leben ewig, und a Groschen Geld. Und auf se Pucken isch, die alles annehmen, was willen uns verschwatzen, unser Ponym. Wir leben ewig, wir seien da, wir leben ewig, in jeder Show. Wir wollen leben und erleben schlechte Zeiten überleben. Wir leben ewig, wir seien da. Wir leben ewig, wir seien da. Wir leben ewig in jeder Show.